So, well, this is for that, for the video stream. But in this room, I think we can we understand each other like that. So they told us. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see all familiar faces, new faces. We're restarting the tech chapter in Basel. It's about tech. So I'm going to give you a short introductions, then we have some speeches, a panel discussion, and afterwards, of course, beers and talks and food and everything we need. So it's about tech. This is run by Swissmade Software. I'm managing partner of Swissmade Software. We have Haldimann here. He will be later on stage as co-founder, actually, of Swissmade Software. And we have Christian there. So the three of us, we run Swissmade Software, and Swissmade Software runs It's About Tech. And together, of course, with the canton of Basel-Stadt and a lot of partners. I will come to that later. I hope you can hear me well. Loud enough? Good. So, Swissmade Software, we stand for Swiss qualities, values like quality, trust, innovation, but also digital sovereignty. A little bit maybe a new word. Why is it important? Why does it matter? So, imagine you run your software on the cloud, someone pulls the plug. I mean, 10 years ago, we used to think, oh, that's not possible. Now we know it is possible, right? And where does your data go? Far away, right? Why don't we keep it here? It's one of the really important, how do you say, Rohstoffe we work with, right? Resources, thank you. And so that's another thing about digital sovereignty. And then, of course, can you control the infrastructure? Security, big topic, a really big topic. We have done events on that as well. And last but not least, your integrity as an individual. Who knows what about you? Do you know who knows what about you, etc.? So these are all very important topics. And in order to have digital sovereignty, I think it's important that we have our own industry here, because we have to have a high level of self-sufficiency and be master of our own data, right? And control the infrastructure, and of course, ensure the integrity of the user, of the individual, of us as persons. And we can only do that if we have homegrown software, right? Homegrown products, homegrown technology. And that's what we're promoting, that's what we stand for, that's what we care about with Swissmade Software. And yeah, it has been a great success. Thank to you. A lot of you guys here are also Swissmade Software. And so we have more than 1,000 companies with our label, and they have more than 2,200 products, Swiss-made products and services out there on our platform, which is really great. And what is even greater is it keeps growing. It always gets more and more, so it's really a trend to do software in Switzerland. And so actually now we're the biggest network of tech companies in Switzerland. And we have a really great platform where you can find all sorts of software going through categories, regions, we have a map, etc., etc. So check that out. But now, oh yes, our offers. So what do? What we offer, of course, the core business is our label business. As said, we have a platform. We do contents. The developer survey might be known of you. Ask Christian, he's happy to talk about that as we're restarting Swiss Developer Survey again. And network, we do events like these and others. And of course, it's about tech. So, it's about tech. That's the meeting place for tech enthusiasts, as we call our target group, as we call ourselves. So developers, but not only people who are really interested in tech, who are interested in the development of tech, where that goes, where tech goes, etc., in Switzerland, and that's what we're going to do. And we start right here in Basel. This is actually the first event of a series that we want to start, or we are already starting, so we're really enthusiastic about that. It's together by the initiative of the economic development of Basel-Stadt, BaselTech. It's a program that will be started by or on the initiative of the government here, which I think is really great because it's very much needed, as we can see. And on the other hand, we of course have a close collaboration with Digital Basel, Basel Hack, Tech Lounge, and Basel One. We are integrative, so everybody who has an idea, who wants to do something, approach us. We're happy to get all this together because we want that tech is happening in our region. This said, of course, we have wonderful partners, cyon, TI and M, brix, CSM, and of course the canton of Basel-Stadt. Thank you very much for making this possible. It's really great to have you on board. And of course, we're open for new partners, so contact me if you have an idea or if you have a need. Thank you again. And this is what we're going to do today. My part is already done, so the welcome and the introduction. Then we'll have some one-to-ones with our friends here on stage, short introduction, and then we're going to go into the showcases. We have 4 showcases for you, and afterwards we'll have a panel discussion with some tech veterans, let's say, who have done this on and on, creating products, and let's learn from them, right? And, well, veterans, sorry for the expression. And afterwards, we'll have Elijah, who is going to tell us what are the next steps with BaselTech. And then we're having what you all came for, food and drinks and talks, right? So, this said, I'd like to ask David to come up on stage, sorry. So I think you need also a microphone. Is that working, Stefano?
It's great.
So, David, thank you for being leading partner of the It's About Tech. It's really great. And I want to ask you, you have become an entrepreneur. So all this here, we're here with cyon?
Cyon, yes.
So we're all here with cyon in the room. Thank you for being the host here for this initial event. And all this happened per accident, right? You didn't want to have a company, actually, right?
No,
it all happened per accident. How was that?
Yeah, I wanted to study chemistry. Actually, if everything had gone to plan, I would be a chemist today. But yeah, life doesn't stick to plans sometimes, and I guess that's a good thing. And yeah, as I said, I wanted to study chemistry, and I looked for an opportunity to earn money to finance my studies. And I was already selling PCs back then. I was like 15 years old.
Okay.
And I needed a website for myself. So that was when I first came in contact with the hosting business, the hosting industry. Maybe, by the way, I don't know if everyone knows what we do. cyon is a web hosting company. We offer hosting services. We bring you guys in the internet. We host websites, email, and domains. So, and yeah, I needed a website for myself. And some night, back then I always worked at night. It still holds true today sometimes, but I have 3 little kids at home, and I have to. And
they don't let you work.
No, I have to go up in the morning. So, but
okay.
Yeah, I was working at night, and I found out that there are companies who sell software which enables you to run a hosting business. All you need is a server, and you install that software on that server, and then you can go. And I was really excited and went to a friend and asked him if he is in, and so we started. And then we took all our money and we bought our first server. And that server, by the way, is at the wall behind that flag there. It's a souvenir today. It was called Server 1. And it has 256 megabytes of RAM, and it was a great machine, a floppy disk also. And we bought that server. It was really expensive, but we took all our money. And then we knew we need to install Linux on it, and we never did that before. And we went to the bookstore. Back then, you were able to buy Linux distros in a bookstore in a card box with CDs on it. And we went home and installed that. And then we wanted to install that software. cPanel is the name of that software. And then we found out, oh, it doesn't run on SUSE Linux. We need Red Hat. So we went back to the bookstore and bought some other CDs and began from scratch. And a couple of days later, we had our server ready, and we were ready to take off. That was the start. And then we did some calculations, and we found out, or we calculated that we need 17 customers to cover our running costs. Not our investments, that was lost, but that was okay for us, but our running costs. So that meant that when we have 18 customers, we have some money left to cover our chemistry books or something like that. 18 customers was our goal. And in the first year, we got 1,000 customers, and we were blown away. That was crazy. That was crazy. And that was the time when I discovered my love to entrepreneurship. And well, I'm.
Didn't buy chemistry books?
No, I didn't. I started the studies, but only a couple of weeks. And then I stopped. And next year, Cyan will be 20 years old, which is crazy for me. And I'm still running it, and I still love it. And yeah.
Great. So what are the plans now?
The plans, well, we love the internet. I think the internet is one of the greatest inventions of mankind. It brings us forward all together, and it unlocks our potential. And our vision is to make the internet a better place. And we do that by providing great products, which have awesome support, which have a nice experience. And we plan to keep doing that and iterate those services, those products, and make them even better. And that will keep us busy for the next couple of years, I guess.
Great, great. And one lesson learned?
One lesson learned. I guess you learn quite a few lessons if you do that for 20 years. But one that sticks out for me is surround yourself with exceptional people. Because a company doesn't exist, actually. It's only the people gathered towards a vision who are the company. And if you have great people, you have a great company, and if not, then maybe not. And well, as an example, in the beginnings, we had you always have administrative tasks like social security registration and stuff like that, personal administration. And we also had some friends doing that and some history students or something like that. And some years in, we had our first employee who did that for 20 years. And she is a real expert in that field. And I was blown away what a difference it makes if you have an expert or if you have someone who learns it by doing, and that was, no offense, that was totally great, but that was an eye-opener to have someone with a lot of experience, and you can learn from that people. They ideally are smarter than you are, and you will learn, and you can grow together.
Perfect. Thank you very much, David. And,
Thanks.
Thank you
As
for
well,
having
thanks.
us here, and see you later.
Thank you too. Thanks for coming. Thanks. We are honored to be a co-sponsor of this event, and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So, the next, yeah, you can put it here. So next, I will do a little bit of a promotion. So we have a lot of things going on in Basel. The next big thing is the Basel One, big software event, conference, and make sure you don't miss it. It's all about methodology, how you create software. It's a full day, no, actually 2 days, so it's really the place to be. So there's a partner of It's About Tech. We're a partner of them. Swissmade Software is a partner. So it's good if we all partner, right, to get this going. So don't miss it out. And the next is Basel Hack, and I think we have Didi here. So you're gonna tell us something about Basel Hack. If you want to be heard in the world, you need this. Yeah, maybe you come a little bit here because I think it's out of the screen.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
Good. Can we hear me? So the after next great event after the Basel one is the Basel Hack. So basically it's a hackathon. We try to bring together young developers, young at heart people, also technology enthusiasts, project manager, designer. And the goal is really like to do coding for a weekend. So there is also a free stage. Everyone can go there and pitch an own idea. Try to find 2 or 3 other people to form a team, and then you can really code on that challenge for the whole weekend. And the idea is like to present a prototype to a jury on the Sunday afternoon. And what else can we say? This year, very likely, we'll also have 1 or 2 sponsored challenges from some of our main sponsors. Topics are not available yet, but will be published during the next, let's say, 10, 14 days. And maybe you saw it. If you register by end of this week, you will also enter a draw to win one of the Basel Hack t-shirt. I don't have it on me today. I was trying to find it at home, but it was like still in laundry, I guess. So very sorry for that. And yeah, here are some of our great sponsors for the Basel Hack. And the interesting thing, or the good thing, is they're actually all based in Basel and around Basel. And we have 2 newcomers in the region. So one is also here, Gabriel and Sam from TI&M. And also I heard that this week Noser Engineering is opening their office in Basel. So it's kind of competition, but they are both sponsors.
Okay, thank you, Didi. So register, it's going to be really great, Basel Hack, and thank you for pulling on this initiative that started, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. So Basel has its hackathon. And so now we're going to start the program. And with this, I will start with Heinz Scheuring. Sorry, I changed because it's, yeah, I should have said sorry. I hope it works, but as you install, I'll put this mic away. So as we have a product demo, we have a little bit of setup time now.
Yeah, combination might be a little bit difficult here of the 2 things, but I try my best. Okay. Nice to get this opportunity of presenting a new approach which we call DYCOK, Dynamic Content and Knowledge Management. I just get into that more detail in a moment. We are the Scheuring company, in my case not 20 but more than 40 years by the way, when we founded that. We do, on the one hand, we supply a product covering resource planning, project and project portfolio management. That's one focus. That's the main focus actually of the company. In addition, we supply the so-called hypermanager, which aims to improve more efficient, to lead to more efficient work. Our credo, we think we are, our credo is to make, to maximize benefit in any possible way. Not just to see if a nice demo seems to be nice and in the end actually features are not the way you imagine it, but actually thinking about what leads to more benefit. Everyone says that, I think, but I try to show what I mean with respect to this DYCOK. Okay, there is available a book called Radikale Business Software, where I try to show what we mean by getting to or leading to more benefit. This can be downloaded as a PDF, or you can also look into it online. I'll give you a short hint to that. DYCOK is part, this dynamic content and knowledge management is part of what I called before hypermanager, which can do quite a number of things, as you see here: access documents more efficiently, manage tasks together, meetings, process mapping, CRM, customer relationship management. It's what we do internally very much. You can use it to work together on projects. Some more things like also precision links to get more directly to the goal, to your URL or to your document. What I want to show now today is what this DYCOK actually means. You all know volume of data is increasing, is extremely growing, exploding almost. Every 3 years we have to double in the internet, and also internally in the companies it's growing and growing. This leads to the problem: how do we get to the content we once set up, but we don't know yet where it is, with all the redundancy and so on, and the file ordner, help me, the folder and so on. And we try to find a way to cover that in a more efficient way. What is what we call game changer? We call a game changer in the field of content, data, and knowledge management by combining content management on the one hand with data management, database on the other hand. What does that mean? In earlier times, we all did Word text files. More and more in the last maybe about 10 years, we get to HTML pages, like in wikis, like Confluence or Microsoft also offers. That's, so to say, what we do now in order to be online, in order to be real time, so to say. This is still important, no doubt. Also documents, we cannot live without that for contracts, for example. But for many, many other contents, especially being set up internally, like concepts and meetings and so on, we feel that this is not actually the end point. And based on that, we said, okay, we should try to do it in a different way. I gave you a very brief look into what is a demo platform, which you can access to, dycok.ch, and where it is a little bit explained what it is, what it means, what it's all about, the different features and aspects. But what I want to show you now is a little bit, give you a little bit an insight into possible applications. We see here a list of records, hierarchically structured. Each record represents a so to say, if you wish, a HTML page, each of them, and not as separate pages, but integrated in a database with 10, 20, or in our case internally, 250 records. Each record contains what you know as HTML page with formatting, with pictures, with video, tables, and so on. Now, that's the list of the records or pages, so to say. Now, if you want to maybe focus just on one specific element, you see here real examples from our companies about this DYCOK project. There you have to deal with tasks, how to structure the system, what functions do we have to cover, and so on. And that's, so to say, the list. And here, if you click onto it, you see the details. All of the content are immediately shown. This is one approach. The other approach is to say, I want to see this in an integral way, on one spot, one view, so to say. So I click onto this integral information. So you see here chapter 1, chapter 2, system structuring, DYCOK, list of functions, groups, type of users, and so on. So it's on the one hand a database-based content consisting of dozens or hundreds of elements. On the one hand, the possibility of mixing that all together into one full picture, so to say, related to a certain question or topic. Also, what you could do is to say, we have here the original in one data field, and we have, so to say, a version that is being revised and changed and optimized just together, instead of having the correction mode like you do have it in Word, which you know is not very nice. A second view, a short view into it, we may say project management consists of a number of process steps, hierarchically structured. Again, you can click onto the different elements, or you can say, show me the project preparation, which is one element of it, again, in an integral way. So pick out of the whole list or the whole, so to say, pool of elements, those things that are relevant to you at the moment because you have a certain focus onto it. This is a change of paradigm in terms of how to manage content, is our feeling. A last very, very short look into the textbook. This is my book, Radical Business Software, about 200 pages. You can look into chapter 5 with different elements. You can look, for example, into should we do resource planning using SAP, in brackets, a little bit difficult, by the way, and you get out maybe 5, 6, 7 elements through the whole book put together related to the question I raised here. So not putting together some HTML pages in a way like Confluence does, for example, but really getting it out of the whole database in order to mix and to match that related to a certain question or situation. Okay, 2, 3 last transparencies. The second of what we call game changer is, as you have seen before very, very briefly, this this structure which you can build in any way. We call that the house approach with the first different levels. Etage, verdammt. Levels, okay. Levels, and then on a certain level you get into the rooms and you can build that in any way you like, very flexibly, and you can build even several different houses for different types of requirements, so to say. This is an important thing which we combined with this DYCOK. What is the benefit of this approach? Safe, efficient access to content and to the knowledge. You will avoid redundancies, as if you have, let's say, a short version page, a long version of such a HTML page. You have just the content just once in your database and get it out in a way depending on your relevance. Flexibility of composing, I mentioned that. Differentiating, put putting together content in a differentiated way, safe and fast navigation to a destination, and the whole system can be managed by a normal user. You don't have to have the HTML or website expert, so to say, to do that. What is our benefit, our challenges of our small company, just about not even 10 people, many of them part-time, in Möhlin, by the way. Resistance to change, because people do have their Microsoft Teams, they do have their Confluence. Nothing against that, they are strong tools, no question. But if we now come with something new, they say, well, we do have what we have, and management says, okay, not a new tool again. So that's certainly one big challenge to us. The big players, of course, the resistance in general, we don't want to change something, the big players. Then, of course, also our small team means limited power for development, also limited power for marketing. This is a little bit of it. And therefore, we also think about finding partners, joining us, and thinking about how could we make this let's say, a success. So if someone is here and says, okay, why not set up a DYCOK startup, we can talk about that. Contact information you will find in the slides. Access to DYCOK here too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heinz. So actually, we will do it like this, that all the presenters afterwards in the networking, there are some tables, so you can go and have one-to-ones with them, or one-to-manys, or a fews, two fews, and talk about the relevant topics. So now I have to plug in again. Where did the cable end? Here. So now we will move to our next speaker, Raphael. This is really a strange story because Raphael actually does an ERP system, and I thought, and you built that from scratch, right? Yes. Sort of on the green field. Yeah, I know, yeah, but I thought, do we really need an ERP system? I know here's Christoph Hugenschmidt he has wrote on software all his life, like me before, and there was always the talk about all these ERP systems, they will consolidate, right? So here we have Raphael just starting a new one. Let's see why. Please.
Thank you very much. Okay, cool. Oh, and I need the presenter. There it is. Yes. Cool. So, does it work? Yes. Wait, yes. Okay, cool. So, now I have too much stuff in my hands. So, hi, I'm Raphael, and I'm co-founder of CashCtrl. There is no logo, but there is one on my hat, and afterwards there is one. So, and in the next 10 minutes or so, I would like to talk about how we managed to develop an online bookkeeping software, and that serves 3,500 customers, and maintaining it or supporting it. So a few years ago, so we're not a startup. So a few years ago, I founded a company with a good friend of mine, and we provided consulting, web development, and the stuff that, I mean, the story is known. So, we had our customers, and for bookkeeping, we didn't have a software. So we looked what the market has to offer, and we couldn't find one because a lot of them were too clunky, too big, too expensive for us as a small company. So we thought, well, let's develop our own bookkeeping software. And we did. And after a few years, we we thought, well, maybe some other companies, some other small companies are in the same like situation as we are, and maybe could benefit from a software like ours. So we started, or we changed the desktop software to a software as a service and called it CashCtrl. And after a relaunch, because first nobody bought the software, after a relaunch, customers are coming to CashCtrl, register, using the software, and after a few years, we had enough customers that we could say, okay, let's ditch the web development part and everything and make a freelancer really happy and give all our clients to the freelancer and concentrate solely on CashCtrl. And in mid last year, we realized, okay, we need more people, so we have to hire people. So we did, and now there's 4 of us. So assuming that we have a great software product, this is what I think is most important part for us. So I talked about the basics, like the idea, skill, whatever you need to develop a software product. So the next layer is a quality claim, which of course is also really, I mean, it's clear that you need a quality claim, like you need quality code, quality design, support, and everything else. So let's move on. And the third layer on my cake is resource planning. And resource planning for us as a small company was like the most important part, because to manage time and money as good as possible is like, it's really important to succeed. So let me give you an example what that means, for example, for support requests. So if we have, for example, a support request that is coming over and over again, I mean, like when you have this support request, then you should like redo your software or program your software better. But if you have 2 possibilities. So either you have to redo your software, or you could write a tutorial and send the link to your customer. So the customer has a tutorial with screenshots, with maybe in English or German, and it's really happy. Now you could say, okay, responding to a software to a support request with a tutorial, it's too much work, because it takes, I mean, it could take like 3 to 4 hours or so. But if you think that you could add the tutorial to your tutorial list, so you have it on your website, you have a bigger website, you have more SEO criteria, you have more content on your website, and for future support requests, you can just send the link. The customer has a small personal interaction and is happy. And for our part, we then take the tutorial and we, for example, we put it on our social media and on, for example, Tutorial Tuesday. So we have, with the support request, we have different steps that leads to a post, a social media post. So, okay, so the same goes for the design. For example, we have 3 different versions of our software, and for this certain icon, I think it took about 1 day to make. So now you can say, okay, 1 day for this small icon is way too much time. But if you use the icon for several years, for flyers and roll-ups and everything, it's totally worth it. So this is just a small idea of what resource planning for a small company means, like 2 of us. So the next layer is honest communication. And for us, it's crucial that we. Oh, I have to start over. Sorry. In my opinion, there is no great software product without an honest interest in the problems and the questions of your clients, because it gives the. So for us, that means we respond to support requests. Like honestly, we try to how do you say Wertschätzung. Yeah, I think when you yes, exactly, appreciation. So when we don't know stuff that customers ask, we say, we don't know it, can you explain it to us? Because with this, the customer gets appreciation from us because we let him explain to us how his business works, how his branch or industry works, because we it's so much that you can't know anything. So you can know everything. So, and then this gives the customer a little bit of part in your development of the software, which is really cool. So for us, that means we have a request support button in the software where the customers can send emails directly to us. Until last year, that was just me. So I received about 1,300 requests within 21. So yeah, but we like the direct Austausch, direct exchange with the clients. Yes. So I think that honest communication really pays out, and it comes back because earlier this year I sent a newsletter to our customers asking them to rate our new company, CashCtrl AG, and within 24 hours we had 80 5-star reviews on Google. And I mean, well, now it's 122, but it was awesome and overwhelming to have such a response in one day, which is really awesome. So that brings me to the not next layer, but to the icing on the cake, which is authenticity. And I think that if you communicate and be authentic with your company, you don't have to mimic something or don't have to be someone else. And the great benefit of that is that your customers can get to know you and know what to expect of you. So the basic takeaway is, I mean, be yourself. It's and to give you a yeah, because this is the Einzahlungsschein will die, so it's this is what you can use it for. So let me finish with that. And for example, if a few weeks ago I have a customer asking me voluntarily if he could pay us yearly a fee for the free version of our software. And I think if you're on that level, you could say that maybe you did get a great software product. So so thank you very much.
Thank you, Raphael. It's really great. So we have to go to our next. Is source engine. Oh, this is really small. Talking about veterans, right? Where's the pointer? Yeah. Thank you very much. So Nadine, nice that you're here. So Nadine, she will rather present an idea, right? Which you then want to develop. And I think it's a really important idea that you're presenting here. So you're still studying, but afterwards you want to get this done, right? Okay, Nadine, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I actually don't know if I need the microphone, but it's always good to hold on to something. For the streaming? Okay, good. Yeah, all right. No, that's great. Also, yeah, my glasses broke on the way here, so I can't really see you, which is great because I'm nervous. But so there you go. This is our idea, the source engine, providing scientific evidence to claims online. So this is our idea. This has been in development for 1 year, almost 2 years now. So we haven't been in it for 20 or 40 years, as we heard before. And also, unlike David, I did choose to go study. So I am currently doing my PhD in biomedical ethics. So you may think it be unrelated to fake news, but it's not. So there you go. What's the problem? The problem are fake news and conspiracy theories. And they're really hard to get rid of. So first of all, misbeliefs, fake news, they spread super easily and quickly. And they're actually psychological and cognitive mechanisms that make them stick to your brain. Studies have found this out, so it's really hard to get rid of them. Furthermore, it's time intense and complicated to check facts and spread them. So we all know fact checking doesn't really work. So there needs to be something else coming. And just looking at the cost of it, in the US alone, there was an estimated cost of 50 million a day, just in regards to COVID-related fake news. People not getting the vaccine, taking medicine that wasn't against the virus or against the symptoms, basically killing themselves by not believing in science, and that had a huge impact on the US economy alone. And maybe I don't have to mention that either. I guess everyone here has like personal experience with that. So it really was a problem to like relationships, friendships, and so on. And this is also the reason why I came up with this. Like, my heart is in this project because I had an ex-partner falling for fake news and conspiracy theories and like really going down the rabbit hole. And like then I thought, how can you prevent this? How can you stop people falling down that hole and really not getting out of it anymore? So what's the solution? We thought, yeah, sure. So we thought the solution may be a browser plugin that you can lay on the web, basically. And it's a crowdsourced annotation tool. So this is a screenshot of our mock-up, where you can see there's a claim that you see online in a text, and you can mark that as a user. You mark it because you think there needs to be a source for this, or this actually sounds wrong, so please provide me with the source to that claim. Then we want to use an algorithm that actually looks up sources to that claim and filters them according to credibility. But then the last added step is an expert check. So we will have a network of experts, proper scientists, that will receive the suggestion of sources and then actually approve this check. And then you, as a user, you get the feedback of, see, this is a source, and this source is actually approved by an expert. So you can see if the claim that you marked is actually approved or rejected by science. What's the motivation behind this? So why would people do this, right? We want to build something that is actually useful for the customer, and we want the experts also involved in this. And lastly, also the journalists. So this is getting good. We all know this feeling of knowing or having this hunch of like, this is wrong, and I know that this is wrong, but you're not sure. And in our market research interviews, we actually found out that people are super hesitant to correct someone when they have to show face. So like under a tweet or on Instagram or just online in the comment section, there's just a certain type of people who start fights online, and usually the broad public doesn't want to do that. However, they're still worried about wrong claims and want to correct them, but like more anonymously. They would like to be not be in the picture, so to say. So our tool gives them that option to just mark the claim, which then will be visible for everyone else using the source engine that it is marked. And so you can use that hunch and like really let loose of this intuition of this is probably wrong and I want it to be checked. The scientist now finally has a platform to connect to the lay public and be like, so let me show you what is a good scientific source for a certain claim or against it. And lastly, we have the journalist who can use the source engine as a type of quality seal for their work, because the less marked your text is, the better it is, probably. This is the market potential. We really think there is money in this as well, just because the big companies that are basically responsible for fake news, in a way, they obviously deny their responsibility, they realize it is a problem and are investing in that. There's political pressure coming because we all know how detrimental fake news can be to democracy. We saw that in the US. And there was even a study in Korea showing that the taxpayer would be willing to pay $9 a year to get rid of fake news. Furthermore, it's interesting for scientific publishers and the scientific community in general to finally build a bridge towards the lay public, regaining trust, regaining credibility. And lastly, I already mentioned the quality seal for journalists. This is ways to promote evidence, like this very nice chart that you usually do in a pitch deck to show that we're better than everyone else. In regards to science-based claims, you have Snopes, you have Correctiv, you have all these fact-checking websites. However, they don't reach the public that they should reach. You have research publications, obviously, but that's this really like this ivory tower where just scientists are at. And so we provide the scientific evidence and bring it to the lay public. On the other hand, obviously you can reach everyone, but just through the comment section or your tweets or whatever, and that's not scientifically sound. So we are connecting the reaching out and the science to teach people or to provide people with a tool to find the good sources for true claims. What are the next steps? So yeah. You've heard the idea. We want to build an MVP, and we actually need you to help us there. We also realized during our research so far that it's super hard to get the data. Because in regards to fake news and everything, the big companies that are kind of like responsible for it, they don't want you to know how responsible they are for that. But still, we think that if we really put an effort in there, we can find the data and build the necessary AI to it. And lastly, we're also building the network of experts. We need the scientists in this too. So there it's great that I'm working at the university still as a PhD student. My partner, Manuel, is at the innovation office in the University of Zurich. We have good contacts with REACH. We partner with them. I used to work for the SRF as well. So journalism is a field that I'm knowledgeable in. But we obviously want more partners. We want to grow. We want to get this thing up and running because this is really something that is super necessary. So, thanks.
Thank you, Nadine. So, we're going already to the last case. And like to ask Patrick to come up. Here.
Thank you.
So, I didn't introduce you.
Yeah, you can still.
So I did introduce, yes. So Patrick actually has built the software and sold the software, right?
Yes.
And now you are telling us what that felt like, what that was like. Please, Patrick.
Thank you. Ah, yeah. Good. Yeah, as Thomas already said, I have gone all the way. So I built a software for more than 20 years, or in the first 8 years, it wasn't a software, it was a services company. I founded a company called IT Systems in '99 with one friend and one employee, our first employee who is still with us when we sold the company more than 20 years later. And yeah, first we were a services company, and then we built a product, like about 8 or 9 years later. And for the rest of the time, we focused on that product and tried to make it great. So that product that we then finally sold 3 years ago was an employee experience platform. It was an intranet in the beginning, or it was rather an intranet framework to build intranets in the beginning, and then developed into something that was more and more of an end solution that you could just run as a cloud service. So we also had this challenge to start on-prem with old technology, seen from today's perspective, old technology, and then do this transformation. So that was also a very difficult step in the whole development of our product. Finally, we managed to do this, and in the end, when we sold it, we had quite nice numbers here with regards to number of customers. We sold it mainly to very large companies, and it also brought a revenue. We had about 60 to 70 employees in the end before we sold it. So that was what we did. But I want to talk about what it took. And I think this is also the topic of today, and my 3 former speakers have already mentioned some aspects, luckily not the same. It's always difficult to come as the last speaker when the topic is quite clear, and I think I can add to your experiences, and there are also a lot of connections, and I recognize a lot of things that we also encountered on our journey. I think the first thing you need if you want to create a great product is belief. You need to believe in what you do. And I think you said it very nicely. It's really in your heart you want to do this. And I think that's very easy in the beginning. And maybe it's also your own conviction that what you do is right, but that's probably not enough, because if you want to make something that becomes bigger and has success, you also need to conceive other people so that they also believe that what you do is good. So it's definitely a good sign when people start telling you that what you do is crazy, because then you know you're on the right way. You do something really new, and probably nobody else has thought about it before, and you have a chance to build something really innovative. But you also have to make sure that you are ready to convince other people, for example, investors. It doesn't help if you say, my gut feeling is that this is a great product. They will say, okay, nice, but you have to prove it. So you have to actively look for the values behind your product so that you can also tell them to other people. It's important for marketing, it's important for investors, it's important for your customers. It's important for your employees. If you engage with new people, if you hire people, they need to also get this belief, because otherwise they cannot help you to create this great product. This brings me to the second ingredient, which is the team. You probably can do a lot alone in the beginning, and even if you're just 2, you can do really a lot, because 2 good people can do many, many things, and it's unbelievable. You said 1,300 emails, support cases. That's unbelievable, but you can do it if you want. But the problem is that when it grows, you will get to a point where you can't do it anymore. And it's not enough to have just a team with skilled people who also have good ideas and who can maybe contribute to the product. You need to really be able to shape them, to align them so they do the same, and not one great idea goes in that direction and the other great idea goes into another direction. You need to be able to form what I call a high-performance team, so that it works like a machine. I always said, it's people, but I want to build a machine where these people participate and become as efficient as possible in development and in every other thing you do to support and to sell this product. And another important aspect about this team is you need to create a spirit. Because if the team is just a lot of egos, you will fail. Egos are always a problem in a team because they only look after themselves. You need to create a spirit that is common to everyone. It needs to be fun to work for your product or for your company. And then I think you have a chance to succeed. But it's not sure. Because you also need stamina. So you need a lot of will to do with a stubbornness what you have started. In the beginning, it's also easy. You have a lot of energy, but then once a guy said to me, you know, it feels like you see the fridge and it's full of food, but you know you don't have enough energy to get to the fridge. And that was what we really experienced as a company. After, I think, 5 years, we had 50, 60 customers already, but they were all small. And we were just close to close our first deal with a customer with more than 100,000 users. It was, by the way, a company from Basel. If we wouldn't have closed that deal, we wouldn't have been able to pay the next salary anymore, although we already had 50 customers. So that is really, you can come into situations all of a sudden where you think, oh, we have a big problem, although we seem to be successful, and there are so many opportunities, and then you need to find solutions for this. And of course, you need this spirit, because spirit and money is what fuels your stamina. And if you don't have the money, you need more spirit. And then, luckily, we overcame this situation, and it went upwards again. And then the next problem comes. You need to focus, because then all of a sudden, you have customers, employees, everybody comes with you with great ideas. You could do this and that. Why does your product not support this? Why doesn't it have that feature? And so on. Why don't you create another product? You could expand into another area. And then I think in the beginning, when you start a company, maybe things like vision, mission, strategy is not so important, because you have a great idea and you already know what you want to do. But I think at that point of time, when you are somewhat successful, you need these things because they help you to focus. A vision is really something that sits there on the wall. People can read it every day. And maybe it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but it helps you to focus. And the same is with your strategy. If you know what a strategy is, you know where you have to focus. And that, I think, is crucial, because I don't know a single company that has become successful and that expanded into other areas because before it was successful in their primary area. With their primary product, the first thing they did, they went successful with that before they expanded. So focus is really important. And last but not least, you need luck. And I think luck is something that can be influenced. If you, for example, invest in the other 4 areas I just now told you about, your chances to be lucky are much bigger than if you don't. And I also think that when you become successful, and when you start really see the light at the end of the tunnel, there will be others around. So other companies will have had the same idea, usually. There are exceptions, of course, but I think an ERP system is a very good example. But still, you can become successful if you're lucky. And you are lucky that you put so much effort in honesty, in communication with your customer. You got these 5-star ratings in a couple of hours. Others are waiting for months and years and don't even get so many 5-star ratings as you are. So you influenced your luck, I think. And I think that's what you need to do all the time. You have to think about what can maximize my chances to become successful, and this automatically leads you to improve your product and maximize the chances that you really get successful. So yeah, that's, I think, what I wanted to tell you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Actually, you could stay on stage as we are now going to have our discussion. So, may I ask Luke, Hans-Dirk, I think you have to take your chairs with you. We need to somehow, so here I have 2 chairs. Or you want to stand?
No, thanks.
Okay, very good. Yes, and then we have a other microphone. So, all right, here. So, we want to have like an open discussion. So, whenever you have a question, you just shoot in. Also to the people that people that have just brought their showcase, of course, and we'll have questions for them. Is it okay with the light, or shall we turn that off? Can
better,
someone?
maybe better.
Yeah. How can I turn that off?
Just plug out your laptop.
All right. Easy. So, maybe you present yourself. Let's start here. Hans Dirk.
Macro, yes.
Yes.
So my name is Hans Dirk Walter. In my former life, I was a software developer on my own. I started to develop a lot of C++ code for an object-oriented database system for mechanical engineers. And later, after an intermezzo at a big Swiss bank, we founded a company called cyon. Maybe someone of you in the audience might remember. With a lot of other guys, and due to some reasons beyond the scope of this event here, we changed the name of the company from cyon to Karakun. And we were from the beginning we were in Basel, and so it's good to hear that a lot of other companies from other areas in Switzerland now find where Basel is moving to here. That we always said it's a great place to be in Basel, and so it's a good that others also.
You don't feel lonely anymore.
I don't feel lonely anymore. Yes, and in cyon and in Karakun we always were a kind of hybrid company. We were the main business is services, solution development for customers, but from the beginning we also were dedicated to develop products, very different products. In the beginning we did some technological product. This was quite easy because it was a product for software developers and we know what software developers need. Later we turned our attention to more difficult areas to develop things for instance now for mechanical engineers, which is a very complex thing and needs a lot more attention. And so for over the 20 years, it was always software development for customers, software development for own products. And unlike Patrick said, we were not very focused up to now, but it was a lot of fun for all the people. And that was most important for us, because it should be cool to work for us, to work with us. And this is the main point.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm David. I'm from brix. We're in Allschwil, which is basically Basel, not quite. And we were forked from a prepress company, so we do a lot of image management, image databases, prepress stuff, catalogs, web to print, that sort of thing. Personally, I've been doing this for 10 years now, so I maybe don't have all the expertise, but I certainly have opinions, so maybe I can share them here. I'll keep this brief. So.
All right, my name is Haldimann. I'm one of the founders of Unblu and the CEO. I started my software career when I was about probably 9 years old with programming assembler on Commodore 64. Who knows Commodore 64 still? Well, I'm about average age in that case.
You have someone to talk to afterwards.
So, and then I started, I decided to have my hobby as a job. Studied computer science at ETH during my studies. I started my first company, which was called Uptree. We did web content management here also in Basel. We grew that company during the .com phase, so from mid-90s to early 2000s. We hit the .com bubble burst, pretty much face on. Had to restructure, downsize, unfortunately let go of a lot of people, but we then eventually did a turnaround and got profitable again and sold our company to Ixos. That was sold to OpenText, a Canadian company that is worldwide for content management. And then I stepped out because I couldn't see any things that I could really create in that company anymore. So as an entrepreneur, I always wanted to build stuff and not a company product and everything. So I decided to step out of OpenText, started my new company, Unblu, for it's almost 15 years now that we started, wrote our couple of patents. We're executing one of those right now against a competitor, so that's interesting stuff as well, but mainly looking at building up company and software product. And currently what we're doing is we're building a platform for insurance companies and banks for their dialogue and collaboration between their staff and their customers. So that's like taking Zoom, the functionality of Zoom, of Team Viewer and WhatsApp, take out the software download, add security, compliance, and integration into banks and insurance companies, and that's when you end up with Unblu.
Yeah, I have already told you who I am. Maybe I can tell you what I do now, because I you told what you did in the past. Of course, I will not just sit around and do nothing. I have already started a new venture. You saw the logo on the screen on the first slide. Do you know what kind of letter that was? Anybody? Because it has a special name in English. Yeah, what kind of dash? Which dash? There are two dashes. M dash. Yeah.
Would have been my guess. EM dash.
Yeah. EM dash. Yeah. The EM dash is the Gedankenstrich, the long one. It's as broad as an M letter, and the EN dash is as broad as an N letter. It's the shorter one that you use as a minus sign, for example. So this is the name of the company. I founded it with my two friends who were with me since '99, and the plan is to really help companies who want to develop great software to get further in whatever role. It could be consulting, could be in an operative role, or in a board role, whatever is needed.
Very interesting. So let's start talking a little bit. What I see is if you start a software product, either like you are a service company and then you work for a client and then you reuse certain stuff you already programmed, right? And then maybe some years down the road, you call it a product, so to say, right? Software. Or you do like you guys did, Luke. You really have an idea and then you start to program it and then you wish good luck on the market, right? So what are the pros and cons between those kinds of, I mean, the one thing is you really have to dare, you really have to, risk, right? Because you're setting everything on one thing, you get the focus, you just do that. On the other hand, you sort of always have a plan B, right? Like you never really, but you maybe have, you get a little bit of schizophrenic, right? Because on one hand, service company is very different from a product company. So can I have your perspective on that? Or what would you also recommend? Because I see some of these problems maybe with what we have seen so far, but they were rather like really daring to do a product, right? Please.
To be completely correct, it's not the same way you mentioned that we really created the products out of the customer projects, with one exception. But for us, at least for what we are currently doing, building a data management solution for the car industry and for the mechanical engineering industry, the problem here is that we as a software company with a lot of software specialists, we know what these guys need technically, but what we don't know is the use cases, the detailed requirements, which is very difficult if you try this on a green field with your own money and then try to convince someone of this domain, oh, that's a cool idea, that is very difficult. So this is really the idea that we do this together with partners from our domain to get a better understanding what they really need. And this is a kind of mission, because we believe that a lot of industry needs this digitalization, needs this kind of technology. And in the past, they did most of the stuff. Unfortunately, they did it on their own. But we are not currently on our own in the position to really catch the details they need. So this is a kind of synergy between those who need something, and we believe that we have the greatest software developers of the world, of course, that we can provide them with the necessary stuff. And this is one approach, and it's difficult for me to say, I just sketched the advantage, the main advantage we see, but it's hard to me compare to the other approach, but we never tried it this way with foreign investors and building it before. But this is a very big advantage to have close connections to those who really need the product in the end.
So maybe we can have Luc on this. As you how did you know that people would want to have co-browsing?
I didn't know. It was actually really a technology push that we had. So we played around with some technology about, so co-browsing, just very quickly what this is. This is what we started with. We today have a suite of a lot of features. Co-browsing is just one part of it, but co-browsing is a technology that allows you to browse a web application together with another person without having to download and install anything. So it just comes with the web application, and it's quite tricky to do this. We didn't, in the beginning when we started to think about the product, everybody was looking at it and said, that's for support use cases, because that's obviously where it makes sense immediately. And I never wanted to go into the support use case, because support is a cost center, right? I mean, obviously you make customers happy in support, super important, but companies typically don't want to spend too much money in that. So it's a cost center. So how are you going to come up with paying for a good license fee in a cost center where you're just trying to save money all the time? So I always wanted to go into online advisory. But it took us 10 years to really get the attention of banks and insurance companies to get into that space. We're now in there, still a lot of support cases, and I love the support cases because you can make customers happy, and you can have, after making customers happy in a conversation, you can obviously go about upselling and positioning your company and the benefits of your products and so on. So, but back to the question about going about a product. So in the beginning, we didn't know that this was something that was needed, but we did some market research and found out that the support case was one case where we could make money with, and that the online advisory, and I was always convinced the online advisory is something that will evolve, and we're still not there yet. So even though COVID happened to all of us, it's not, and home office is now a standard, it's not that everybody is just clear about it. We have lots of banks and insurance companies that say we want to visit customers, and be it only for insurance companies, for example, because the insurance agents have a car allowance. So why should they risk that their car allowance is going to be taken away and go online meetings where they can be a lot more productive and therefore destroy one part of their benefit? So it's difficult to position. And how do we go about a product? I'm a strong believer that you have to have a strong focus. It's super expensive to build a product. So either you are super lucky and in the exact right place to be able to self-finance a product, or you need investors. Or you do a business, obviously, of consulting and advisory services and be it different possibilities of making money by selling services, and then invest into that product. But still, you take all that money and invest it into the product to grow it. And if you then don't focus and get carried away by customer requests and do special builds for customers, you're lost. So that's something. So there's a lot of topics that I could talk about this. I don't want to take up all the time here. But going about a pure play product and one which then scales, so that's the important part, obviously, of going into product business. It's just super costly, and you need to have a very strong focus, and you need to have more sales than technical skills to do this. But obviously, you need to have the best technicians to have a good product.
So that hurts a bit.
It does. It does. I always think about, there was a post from some 37 signals from someone where you have a equation of success, which is the idea is on a scale between 1 and 10. So best idea is a 10. Worst idea is a 1. Maybe it goes from -1, but let's keep it there. But execution definitely goes from -1 to, say, 1 billion. So in steps of 10. So, and if you multiply those two, you get the success. So execution is really more critical than a good idea. So let's not keep staying with dreaming of good ideas, but let's have a good idea, moderate idea. A 2 is already fine enough. If you go for 1 million in execution capabilities and multiply that, you have a great outcome, right? So that's super important to understand. So whenever you talk and think about ideas or keeping back ideas because somebody can steal it and copy it, unless they have great execution, don't worry about it.
We still need something to execute, right?
Yeah.
So Patrick, you actually did that. You were first a service company, serving customers, and
and I can support everything that Luke
just
said.
And then but how is it then? How was it to then focus on the product? How did you do that?
It is super difficult if you do one thing wrong, which we did in the beginning. And one thing I really recommend, you do it from the beginning when you see this piece that we have maybe built in a custom product should now become a product and not a project anymore. You have to pull in a Chinese wall between the team that does projects and the team that does products. Otherwise, it will never work. We even hired a separate office and a separate location. And we moved these people out. You sit there now and do the product.
Because the coffee machine would be very dangerous.
Yes, and exactly what you said. Customers always want new things, they're always urgent, and then always someone from the product team that is not really a product team has to help out, or you risk to build in features into the product that are not really product features but individual customizations. And I think that's the biggest risk if you have a project that evolves into a product. And maybe another thing is also that a product needs to be much more robust than what you deliver to one customer as an individual solution. So, especially now in the cloud, if you look at the threats that are out there, you started with this, the cyber attacks. If you have a product that is not prepared for this, it won't live very long, right? Because you will be dead. And if you deliver a solution to a customer, maybe you don't need all of this because it runs behind a firewall and the customer takes care of all this himself. So that's just one example, but it's also true for regarding the architecture, expandability, regarding the marketability, for example, the user experience, super important. If you have one solution for one customer, maybe used by experts that are trained during 5 weeks, and maybe they find it very boring to work with the solution, but they have to. It's completely different than if you develop an e-banking solution that needs to be used by an end user like us. If this is not a brilliant user experience, the bank will lose customers. So these are all aspects that I think are important if you go from project to product.
Unless you have a good support system.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. If you have one guy who is able to answer 1,300 emails per hour.
So how is this with brix? You also have your products, right?
We are extremely services. Yeah, we're extremely services driven because that's what we do, which has the clear advantage that you know what you actually implement, someone's going to use it. Because I've seen it a lot of times with big companies, they have some new greenfield idea that they want to do it because they found it interesting or thought it was necessary. Nobody uses it. They continue to use the core product, which is fine, but the add-ons that they invested like 2 years into it, nobody cares because they don't know the customer well enough or their customers well enough. They thought they had a great idea, turns out they didn't. So they wasted 2 years on this add-on thingy Nobody cares. I know what my people want. So this is the clear advantage of being customer driven. It's also a disadvantage, as we heard, because the customer is going to come and clamor, oh, do my thing, do my thing. No, sorry, I can't do your thing. It's too weird. I'm going to have to, you have to keep focused and say, okay, this I can build in, this is okay, but this request is completely unreasonable. I'm sorry, I'm not going to build it in.
So that's
and you have to say no to people sometimes.
So when you implement the product, then it actually becomes a project. So when does the
That's a very difficult line to walk. I mean, we have, certainly we have our products where we know it's a product. I don't care if you want to do something weird. And we have our other stuff where I know it's like a one-off, it's like a two-off. Of course, I'm trying to build it in a way that can be reused. So recycling also exists in software engineering. And it's a good thing to do. And you should always, when you start something, you should start out with the intention of reusing it for something else. Except in really special weird edge cases where you know that's a one-off and I'm going to throw it out. That's fine too if the customer pays enough. But it's not good enough for a product because then it gets all sorts of weird wrinkles and stuff and then it falls apart. And that's what you don't want.
Yeah, that's the thing about the focus, right?
That's the thing about the focus.
Maybe very quickly to solve this issue as a pure play product company like we are, what we do is we don't get money for developing any features. So we're strictly saying no to customers paying us to develop features. We have a customer advisory board with our customers, and we have our product, the exact same code is run inside UBS for support and advisory as in the CSX Credit Suisse app and so on. It's the exact same code, and Post Finance and others. So they're using the exact same code. Those are not using it from the cloud. We have a lot of customers who use it from the cloud, and that's the exact same code as well. But the thing that we do is really we say no to getting paid for developing features, but we listen to customers, obviously. We have a customer advisory board where they can exchange and they can vote for the best ideas and the best ideas that make it through, and we mix it some stuff that we believe is required for everyone. That makes it into the product. So customers do have a say on the product, but we abstract it and we say how it needs to be implemented so that it serves all customers' needs. So that's how it works. But then again, that's more expensive. You need money for that. It's not, you don't get paid for it. You get paid in the end for the license.
So it's kind of a self-discipline, right? Somebody comes and puts some money on the table and say, can you do that feature for us? You go like, Chinese wall. Don't look at it. So any questions from you guys? It's your chance. Okay, I will bring the microphone.
Hi, I have a mean question. I've been in the IT industry also now for like a long time, as everybody else, if I look around here. And I'm lately of the impression that a lot of the software products out there are becoming shittier and shittier. And we employ in our company a number of solutions that I think are really good. And there's a number of solutions which I think should be, disused by just about everybody. And it's, a question of resources why we're not getting out, basically. But then again, there's a lot of problems in these software products which are old. I've seen problems like this in software 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and it's still there. And then Luke, you talked about execution. So it's really hard to build good software. But we keep making the same mistakes. Any idea why that is?
Well,
actually, personally, I believe there is too much churn in the IT industry. People don't get old enough in this industry. So it's like the experience is like 10 years, and then you move up to management. I did. And then you lose this basic stuff like SQL injection. We still see that. It's a 30-year-old problem. We should have solved it by now. We know how to solve it, but it still happens because people have moved on. And new people come in who've never done it before, and they Stack Overflow it. And yes, it works, but it works poorly. That's at least my perspective. I don't know if someone wants to tell me off.
Yeah, I would try. So although I'm the guy who switched the borders between software development and management, I don't believe that is really that people cannot grow old in software development. But we try in the company in Karakun that management is only for those tasks which are not so nice, and the really cool tasks and the cool things are done by the team, and the team is 95% are software developers, which might be a weakness in the context of products, I know. So that, and I don't also disagree that it's really hard to write good software. It's not really hard. I think a lot of things in the last 20 years have changed how software is created, which really allows to develop really good software. There's discipline required, and what is mentioned by Luc and by Patrick as well, of course, if you get a baroque castle instead of a really cool, slim software, then you get in danger that this happens, Christian mentioned. But in my personal opinion, since nearly 30 years, I have seen how software is developed. The chances to do really good software quality is much higher than a lot of years ago. So there must be other reasons why your software sucks, sorry.
We'll make an event on this topic. Problems not solved yet, so might have to have a couple of days.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe I disagree a little bit with both of you, but also agree with some aspects. It might be because, well, there are the brilliant developers who at least think they are brilliant developers. Some of them are also brilliant developers, and the normal developers. And the brilliant developers, they always want to do new stuff with the latest technology, and they actually are demanding this. Otherwise, they leave the company. We have experienced this many times. Whereas the normal developers, they're quite happy to do maintenance jobs, improving stuff, and so on. And I think one of the problems could be that you give too much attention to your brilliant guys because you're afraid that they will leave the company, and don't focus enough on the maintenance jobs because it's a different task. And what we did, when I was at LiveTiles my last 2 or 3 years, I was CTO, and I had to restructure the entire software development team, about 50 people. What we did, we separated these two types of developers, and we also put all the products that we had in, or the modules of our platform, into a life cycle stage. So some were more mature than others, some were very new, and so on. And depending on the maturity, we also assigned them to a team. So, for example, a very old module that was maybe even end of life was only maintained. So no new development, only maintenance. And with this, maybe we didn't solve all the problems. That's never possible. But at least we solved the problems of this constant fight between the people in the dev teams that they want to do something new, but have to do something old or something in the maintenance area, because that's actually where the company makes money. You don't earn money with your latest product, you earn the money with your cash cows that have been on the market for some time. So I would pay attention to these groups or types of development and try to really focus on all of them.
But no Chinese wall there, right?
No Chinese wall there, because it's all product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my take, just very quick, is it's just very difficult to do great stuff, and average stuff sucks. That's it.
I think we have a question from Heinz, yeah?
No, actually, a contribution to the same question, how to build good software. I'm referring now to Resolution, not to the new thing with DYCOK, Resolution, which has been on the market now for 25 years. And we are in a strong competition situation with that software, and we see that we have to fight with the fact that other big products in that field come with features that no one will ever use in the end, but at the beginning, in the evaluation phase, customers ask for those features, sometimes features that are even dangerous because you will really fail with that feature. As an example, automatic resource leveling, that's a pure nonsense in resource planning, but as long as potential clients don't know about that, they are asking for that, and other products are building that into. So the fight against features that are nonsense, although in a certain way you need them in order to be successful in the evaluation phase. That's an extreme problem from my side, and I wrote a book of 200 pages about this aspect. You can read it. That's the radical business software.
So the fake feature problem.
Yeah.
The fake feature problem. So what do you do with the fake feature problem? You have that too.
Yeah, it's a tough topic. That's definitely, I definitely agree. This is something that we see in RFPs, that topics are asked, or that even some companies are talking about features that they don't even have. They have just some checkmark features, like co-browsing itself. Our core competence that we had in the beginning was something that a lot of competitors were saying they have it. It never worked, but they could win as a big company. They could win some pitches, and then they just couldn't do that. And then somehow they said, well, many of them came back to us again and afterwards because it didn't work. But that is a big problem. So what you do about it, you hope that you can educate about those topics and influence in RFPs that what the important topics are. You cannot always do that. And then sometimes you need to have some of those features and maybe rethink them and make them useful, make some features a little different, but have it a useful feature and do the same name. But I haven't read your book, so I'm sure you have some hints about how to overcome that.
Yes, I've also found it's extremely important to actually explain your position and to not be afraid to explain your position, why this is a dumb idea, as you have pointed out. And of course, there are potential customers that just will straight out throw you out the door. That happens because they don't want to listen to you. They don't understand what you're saying. They don't understand the topic at all because they just do RFPs all day. That happens. But we found a lot of times that if you can convince the customer, if you have a concept of your own, you can tell him, yeah, I see what you're trying to do, but this is a better way. This usually works out, and then you don't need the weird feature TM. So that's usually what we try to do.
Yeah, that's a good way, I think, as well. We also found another way because we had the same problem. You always have if there's competition. Everybody else has some features in an area where you don't have because it's not your main focus. So it's very difficult to win the feature fight, in my opinion. And especially in tenders, we always tried to convince customers on other levels. So this one customer with the more than 100,000 users that I mentioned before, they had a problem. They had to finish their project within a certain deadline, and they didn't have enough resources. And we could convince this customer that with our product, they could be faster because they would get ready-made modules and a framework to be able to take resources from outside the company because they didn't have to code. They were not allowed to employ external coders, but they were allowed to employ a company who did configurations, which is not coding. So we convinced them that they could meet their deadline. They never ever asked about one single feature, never. Okay. They just bought the product. And I have other examples which just go to another level. And I think you have to translate your features into value, and you have to sell the value and not the feature, because you can create value with in different ways, as you say. And you then can convince the customer much better than if you argue on the feature level.
Yeah, I would like to add another aspect. So I fully agree with Patrick. The value is the key. That the value, which is in some cases not so easy to define and to communicate. But there's another problem we face. It's the other side of the same coin, that especially in the environment, in the technical environment we are currently working, the requirements or what the people really want is defined in how they would do it. Because it's engineers or technicals, they always tell us we need it this and that way because they have some idea how to implement it in their own head. And then we have an additional challenge. We have to convince them that they really focus on their own goals and their own values they want to achieve, which is difficult. But now I wanted yet to do it like this way. So in former days, we had an online a web application. We want a save button here because we want to save the document. It's always saved. It's always It's always saved. No, we want it because we want because.
Okay, I put a button there. It doesn't
and
do anything.
the problem here is that many customers or many people are thinking in how they would solve the problem instead of what real problem they really want to solve. I have no silver bullet to solve this. It's always a specific discussion, but as Patrick said, you have your own, you have always in the mind what is the value you can sell, and then you have the right arguments to convince the customer that the value is the key and not the feature or how you would do it.
Can I add one thing? Maybe it depends a little bit on the topic that you're addressing, but in our space, the buyer or the buying center in the companies was shifting from IT to the business. And I think as soon as you can talk to the business, the features don't play such a role anymore either. If you talk to an IT person, it's a different conversation than if you talk to a business person. And with the business persons, you really have to invest in the value and bringing it out and show the value, and also in numbers. It's really, you have to create a business case for what you sell, and then you convince people. And if you can convince the CFO of a company, the IT guy will not have anything to say anymore. It's very easy.
The guy with the money. So thank you, guys, for this great panel. I'm looking at the watch, so we would like to proceed, but maybe one last round. So you have seen a couple of cases here. Maybe just some free comments to whatever case you saw. What inspired you? What did you like? What did you, or where would you? Could you give some support or whatever? Please, just one final round.
I really like your approach. It really needs doing. The problem I have with it, I think you're preaching to the choir. I don't know how I would convince a QAnon crazy person to install your browser plugin. That's my biggest concern I have. I really support what you're doing. I like it a lot, but I don't think these crazy people are going to install your extension. So you may want to think about maybe have the newspapers that it appears on, maybe ship it on their website and not via a browser extension, so you maybe at least they see it that way. That was my thought as I saw your presentation. Otherwise, great stuff.
Please.
So I liked everyone, all four. It was all were very inspiring. The things you mentioned, I fully agree that the honest communication is very helpful, especially even if you might not succeed in getting the deal, you feel better in your own company because it's easier to live if you are always honest with the customers, and we try it as well. And I think we are quite successful with this strategy. And this thing is really, yeah, it's important. Of course, nobody wanted to be bothered by fake news. Yeah, maybe we can talk after the session, because we are somehow in a related field, not with I mentioned in this panel here, but with some other technical. As I said, we have a lot of a big potpourri in our case. And this the same for you. So everybody, and Patrick we met before, and I know what you did before. So it is, of course, it's a very interesting and very cool story. So
thanks.
I can't prioritize.
Luc.
Yeah, I mean, I've been 25 years ago. I've been in content management with doing stuff that still needs to be solved. So I like your idea and what your product, what you're doing, and it's difficult to stand out with that. I don't know why it's still that difficult, but I'm intrigued by what you're doing, but also your idea, and obviously the need for this is very obvious. And the one thing that I agree, forget about the plugin download, forget about it, don't do it. It will not fly.
Among scientists, it might. That's about the audience.
Yeah, but you're just too limited. You need to have something, and I've been actually spinning with, when we did co-browsing, we've been spinning actually with Roberto, who is sitting back there. We've been thinking about having a possibility to run over the internet with kind of the co-browsing technology to load a page through your proxy, and then add your stuff on top of that. Think about, we can talk about it, think about that, and and it will break stuff. Yes, but
It will break stuff.
yeah, I know. but there are ways of doing maybe even with a mobile app. I think mobile app will be downloaded, but yeah. So and I think also it's quite something because you need to have some decent level of AI or some kind of matching, searching for that content and so on. It's quite difficult. So get good partners for that, but I would love to see that fly.
Patrick, yeah.
Yeah, I think all my co-speakers had a very interesting part, and I think as you've seen now, some of the guys here tell it's difficult, so you're on the right way already. And I can feel with you regarding these things that have not been solved yet, because I've also worked in content management in the last 20 years, and I try to solve a lot of things with metadata, and you can do a lot on that level, and I think that's what you're also doing. But I also know it's super difficult to get through. It's so abstract. People don't even know what metadata is if you start talking about it. And so that's again, I really see the only way is to communicate the value and not what you actually are doing, because then you maybe have a chance to get through.
Okay, thank you very much.
Isn't metadata what Zuckerberg collects?
Everyone can do that.
Yes.
Why are people and companies and everybody working in the companies still using emails? Is there nothing better than emails?
No.
With Slack,
No.
perhaps, it's better.
No, there is not. It's sad. It's really sad, but it's not.
I think
the only decentralized communication platform we've come up with. And even though Matrix exists, which in my opinion would be the successor, but nobody cares. They rather stay in their silos, and some are in team silos, some are in the Slack silo, and they cannot talk to each other. And apparently we're not interested in solving that.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. No, email is the only federated communication platform so far, and it's really sad, and I would like this to change. So use Matrix.
I think this is perfect with a beer afterwards, right? You can talk about email, WhatsApp, whatever.
No.
We get your problem solved about the plugin and the metadata and how to manage all the support questions. I mean, that was really astonishing. So thank you very much. And now we're going to go and hear from Elijah about what BaselTech is going to do in the next month. Thank you very much.
So welcome from my side. I'm Elijah. Most people call me Elias. I grew up here in Basel, and I feel also we're all a community working together for Basel, and I'm really excited to present you what we are doing at the government. I represent with my colleagues, Martin Strecker, Georgia Rödlisberger, and also former Tim Sen, which has been spearheading this project, BaselTech. We call it program, kind of as an initiative, as you want to frame it. And it's really about you guys. It's really about helping you make products, helping you make Basel as an IT, ICT community stronger. And we want to foster this with an initiative. So first of all, overall, we have like 3 initiatives or 3 programs. In the health sector, you know quite a lot about what we are doing in the life science cluster with Basel area. And with ICT, like there is nothing in Basel City. And we really see this need, that we need the government to support and interact as a new player to bring all great ideas, all people, actors together. We are doing with a digital innovation program or section. And lastly, we have a third section, which is green economy, where the government really sees the need, which is everywhere, as you also have your needs to be more sustainable in whatever ways. Now, BaselTech, what is it? As we've seen, we have quite cool and fun and crazy ideas and companies here in Basel, but really, who talks about them? Who knows about them? When we look about the ICT community in Switzerland, it's all like focused in Zurich. And why is that so? And we realized somehow the visibility in Basel is lacking. So what we try to achieve with this initiative is to bring the ICT community, the industry, more to the surface. To this end, we are really taking the initiative with all the partners, from university to associations, as well as companies, to collaborate, partner, and bring you a platform where you can really present yourself. We are really aiming at these 3 points. Strengthening Basel as an attractive location for talents, for companies, promote networking, as we're doing to this evening, which is really great. And as already said, create an impetus, because the government doesn't see itself as the core driver of innovation. As you see, the government, we're not that fast as you guys. So we really just give impetus that we can work closer together. How does this work? So we have kind of a structure built up where we have these focus topics. This is really dependent on the partnerships that we're going to accomplish with you. So partnership about cybersecurity, data, real estate, new tech initiatives, ideas, projects, where Basel City can become a bigger number in the region. Then focusing not only on topics, we have this kind of toolbox, which I'm going to explain later on more in detail. So just an overview, we have 4 tools: ecosystem mapping, community building, tech city campus, and the tech incubation acceleration program. And lastly, like it all needs a foundation, we have the partners, which are, as I said, the multilateral partners, and the funding, which will be created a government fund for innovation, as well as crowdsourcing and all ways how we can create funds for our ideas. Now, here more in detail. So the ecosystem mapping I'm going to show you also our MVP is actually a platform. A single point of contact where you can see each company, each project or events that is happening in Basel City, or Basel region, sorry. And we really aim to put Basel on the map. So that's the core product. We don't want something big, many add-ons, really simple. With our community building part, we kind of see the need to create events. So they are really great, cool meetups that are going on. And we're also presenting them on our site. But we need kind of more work together, more connectivity. And with this community building, we really want to have you, the tech enthusiasts, work together with each other as all these great ideas already came. I really appreciated that, Luke, you recommended don't do the plugin or don't do this. We really can help each other if we do that. So exchanging ideas, networking, and also deeper collaboration. Next of all, which is my actually favorite part, is the Tech City Campus. This is also a kind of a bigger project which we'll start later on, much more later than we have started with these two already. The Tech City Campus is kind of a hub to bring company startups together in one place in Basel. Maybe one place is not enough. Maybe you have 2 places for 2 different topics. We don't know yet. So this is still in evaluation. And the goal is really to bring people together, meet, settle, kind of have a cluster building maybe, and just have a range of offerings where everyone in Basel knows, hey, there, at this cool place you can go if you are a tech enthusiast. And lastly, incubation acceleration, kind of a public program with the private, where we really want to foster startups and innovative ideas from the early stage on until to the final place. Now, as I said, most of you have already heard of it. Some are already in talks with us. And it's all about coming together. So here I just want to show that we're working with space people from companies from spaces, startups, tech companies, research, across industry, as well as association, the community events, and now lastly also the framework conditions that is kind of set in place from the governments. So if you're interested, please contact me, please come together, and please write me your ideas, your need, and then we can maybe figure out or create circles, create groups, workshops where we can directly target problems in Basel, where we can create maybe new impetus for new potential. And this is just a simple roadmap for those who have heard a lot about it, but don't actually know where we stand. So we started with our ecosystem mapping and the event. And coming the next years, it will be continue to follow up. And the community building will be focused next year. For 2024, the earliest, we have the incubation acceleration program that we are thinking of, maybe starting there. And like earliest 2025, we have kind of the campus. So with the campus, we still have like phases where we have a kind of one stop. We try several locations because we also don't know, since Basel is very tiny and limited space, we really need to find a place which suits all the needs. Yeah, so that's it. Let me quickly show you a demo of our MVP. I'm not yet gonna publish it yet, but just so that you have a quick taste, a teaser, what's it all about. So, as I said, our two core products on this on this platform is really discover the ecosystem. So first, you really can find who is in Basel, what are they doing, in what field they are working, and to do that, you just can go down here, ecosystem, then you have these cool filters where you can select startups or meetups or enablers and know who is working in Basel or who's doing what. So let's go in startups, and then you see across also life science, all kind of industries, we have them now on here. So this is a platform with over 300 entries. We're still working on it, so I'm sorry that some of you guys maybe have not yet your company on them. But if you see your company missing or an initiative or a project, please write me. Or you can use on the website this function, something missing. And then you can just add an entry. And lastly, we also heard a lot about it's really difficult to find a single point of entry where you see all the events. So we really try to gather all the events. So if you have a regular events coming up, please write us, then we can add your events to the site, and then everyone can meet and see, this event is going to happen next week or in 2 days. So this is about it. We also have a tech alert, which we're going to build up where you can stay up-tuned, what's going to happen in BaselTech, and actually the whole region, tech community. When I speak about the BaselTech, I don't speak about the government or me or someone else. I talk about you guys. So what you are doing, what you are interested in. So please also write me if you have interesting news. Yeah, so that's about it. Thank you very much. I thank you, Thomas, for organizing. It's really great to be here. I thank you all the speakers, all the presenters, and thank you all for coming, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, I can't see my... Talking about veterans, yeah, I can't see the mouse anymore. Oh, here. So, last slides. Thanks again to our partners supporting us. And that's actually the last slide. So the next meeting is going to be on the 23rd of November. I personally like the number 23. Hope you too. So see you then, and enjoy drinks and food. We will now build up. So maybe you can help us by bringing your chairs on stage. So we have a little space here, and then we can have drinks and talks. Thank you. See you next time.